Before billionaires, before Wall Street giants, before big tech, there was John D. Rockefeller. A man who didn't just get rich. He controlled the fuel that powered America. And when the government finally tried to destroy his empire, it accidentally made him even richer. Rockefeller didn't start powerful. He grew up in a poor household where money was uncertain and stability was rare. His father was unreliable, often disappearing for long periods, while his mother held the family together with discipline and strict values. From childhood, Rockefeller learned two rules: save everything and trust no one with money. As a boy, Rockefeller wasn't dreaming about becoming rich. He was obsessed with control. He wrote down every cent he earned, every cent he spent, and every cent he saved. At 16 years old, Rockefeller got his first real job as a bookkeeper. It wasn't glamorous, and it didn't make him popular. But to Rockefeller, this job was everything. For the first time, he saw how businesses actually worked from the inside. Who got paid first, where money leaked, and how small mistakes could quietly destroy a company. While others chased opportunity, Rockefeller learned control, and that knowledge became far more valuable than any paycheck. After learning how money moved inside a company, Rockefeller didn't rush to become famous or flashy. Instead, he partnered with a friend and started a small business buying and selling everyday goods: grain, meat, and produce. It wasn't exciting, but it was real commerce. Rockefeller focused on reliability, precision, and trust. While others talked big, he delivered quietly. And that reputation, calm, disciplined, dependable, would soon open much bigger doors. While Rockefeller was building a stable business, a strange new industry was quietly emerging: oil. At first, oil wasn't about cars or machines. It was about light. Kerosene was replacing candles, and demand was exploding. Most people rushed to drill oil out of the ground, chasing quick profits. Rockefeller saw something different. He realized the real power wasn't in drilling oil. It was in refining it. And that insight would change everything. Rockefeller didn't invent oil. He didn't discover it. He didn't even drill it. What he did was far more powerful. He built a system. Rockefeller created a company that refined oil cheaper, cleaner, and more efficiently than anyone else. He reinvested profits, cut waste, and negotiated relentlessly. While competitors fought each other, Rockefeller organized everything. And piece by piece, refinery by refinery, Standard Oil began to dominate the entire industry. Rockefeller didn't just grow bigger, he made it impossible for others to survive. Standard Oil could produce kerosene cheaper than anyone else. So Rockefeller lowered prices until competitors started bleeding money. Many refiners couldn't keep up. Some sold their businesses to him, others went bankrupt. To critics, this looked ruthless. To Rockefeller, it was efficiency. If a company wasted money, he believed it deserved to disappear. And with every price cut, Standard Oil tightened its grip on the entire industry. Standard Oil didn't just win by being efficient. It also controlled how oil moved across the country. Rockefeller negotiated secret deals with railroads: lower shipping prices for Standard Oil, higher prices for everyone else. Competitors paid more just to survive. Standard Oil paid less and grew even faster. Most people never saw these deals. They were buried in contracts and fine print. But their impact was massive. This wasn't brute force. It was quiet leverage, and it worked. Once competitors were weakened, Rockefeller didn't crush them. He bought them. Struggling refineries faced a choice: keep losing money or sell to Standard Oil and walk away safe. Many took the deal, not because they loved Rockefeller, but because survival felt better than failure. One by one, independent refineries disappeared. Not with explosions, not with headlines, just signatures. And silence. By the late 1870s, something strange was happening. Standard Oil wasn't just winning, it was everywhere. Refineries closed, prices dropped, and suddenly, one company controlled almost everything from oil wells to railroads to the final barrel. To Rockefeller, this wasn't chaos. It was efficiency. But to politicians, journalists, and competitors, it looked like something else entirely. For the first time, people began asking a dangerous question: Was Standard Oil too powerful? Eventually, the noise became too loud to ignore. Newspapers weren't enough anymore. Politicians weren't enough anymore. So the government stepped in. Committees were formed, hearings were announced, investigations began digging into how one company became so powerful. For the first time, Rockefeller wasn't competing against rivals. He was facing the state itself. But even now, he didn't panic because the system he built was stronger than any single attack. By the late 1800s, the pressure reached Washington. For the first time in American history, the government decided it needed a weapon strong enough to challenge giants like Standard Oil. So Congress passed a new law, not aimed at one company, but at a new kind of power. It was called the Sherman Antitrust Act. On paper, it promised competition. On paper, it promised fairness. But laws are only words. And the real question wasn't whether the law existed. It was whether it could actually stop the system Rockefeller had built. By 1911, the pressure finally snapped. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that Standard Oil was simply too powerful. Not because it was inefficient, but because it controlled too much of the system. The empire Rockefeller built was ordered to split apart into dozens of separate companies. On paper, it looked like defeat, but in reality, it would make him even richer. Standard Oil was officially broken apart. On paper, Rockefeller lost control. The company was split into many smaller companies. Different names, different boards. But Rockefeller owned shares in almost all of them. He no longer ran refineries. He controlled ownership. The system changed. The power didn't. To the public, it looked like defeat. Newspapers declared victory. Politicians celebrated. Standard Oil was gone. Rockefeller no longer ran the empire everyone feared. But behind the headlines, something else was happening. The companies still moved together. The profits still flowed to the same hands. Power didn't disappear, it simply became invisible. The breakup didn't end Rockefeller's influence. It changed its shape. While others focused on court rulings and headlines, Rockefeller focused on ownership. Control didn't require commands anymore. It required patience. By the time the world realized where the power really lived, the system was already permanent. By the end of his life, John D. Rockefeller wasn't running companies anymore. He didn't manage refineries. He didn't negotiate deals. But the system he built remained quiet, legal, invisible. And by the time the world realized it, Rockefeller had already won.